In this video, I'll introduce you to the Quadrotech tenant management system. Here's the TMS dashboard. As a service provider, in this application, you add new customer tenants, manage access to tenants, manage your own association with tenants, and more. On the left side of the screen is your navigation within the tenant management system. We'll touch on these actions shortly. At the top right, you can search for a tenant, view notifications, manage organization settings, access our online help, and view information about your profile. If you have access to multiple tenants, you can switch between them on this drop-down, which will cause the screen to refresh and center the focus around the tenant you select. Your organization will have been created for you by us, and on this page you can see the hierarchy of your managed customer tenants. This screen lets you see which tenants your QTID is associated with. You can change the default tenant and remove access to tenants if needed. On this page, you can create organization groups, as well as adding and removing tenants from a group. We'll go through the process of adding a new customer in another video. You can manage your invitations to tenants on this screen. The last thing I want to mention is that you can add useful widgets to the dashboard. These give an overview of what is happening across the service provider space. That's all for this video. Check out the other videos in the TMS series where we cover more about the actions you can perform. One of the powerful features available in Nova is the ability to delegate administration of both on-premises and Office 365 objects to non-administrators. Nova allows you, as an administrator, to define actions that can be performed on all or part of a tenant, or even across multiple tenants if required. These can be delegated to individuals within the organization. You can even be granular enough that you can define which properties people are allowed to see and modify. You can even allow end users a degree of being able to edit their own information stored within Office 365 via our self-service policies. Let's look at a few examples. You can allow a regional help desk to reset passwords for end users, but only users in their region. You could allow a team manager to update some information within each user's profile, but not be able to update the home address, for example. You could even hide some attributes, like home phone number, entirely if required by your business policies. Authorization policies are really flexible and help ease the burden of administering both on-premises information, if you still have an on-premises Active Directory, as well as data stored in the cloud. That's all for this introduction to authorization policies. Check out the other videos in this series for more information about Nova. Over a period of time, you'll build up an organizational structure in Nova with some policies. Sometimes you might want to see which policies apply to a particular virtual organizational unit. You can do that quite easily. Let's see how. Here, we can see our organizational structure. You can expand the structure like I'm doing here. Let's say you want to see which policies are assigned. You click the ellipsis button next to the virtual organizational unit and select Authorization Policies from the menu. The right side of the page shows a list of the policies that apply to this VOU. That's a quick way of finding the policies that apply to it. When the authorization policy has the option enabled on it to apply to sub-organizational units, then John can manage L1 and the GEOs. Jill, on the other hand, can only manage GEO3. That's all for this video on determining which policies apply to a virtual organizational unit.
Let's quickly take you through how to set up a configuration policy for your virtual organizational units. Ensure that you have organizational units set up before you begin to start using configuration policies. Let's start on the dashboard, where we go to the Manage Administration tab, then go to the Configuration Policies section. Click Add, then create a name. For my policy, I want to assign My Analytics to my UK VOU, so I'll name my policy My Analytics, but be sure to create a name that suits your needs. Click Add, and find the VOU you want to assign your configuration policy to. For my example, I'll choose the UK. Then go to the Actions tab and click Add. As you can see, there is much more you can do with configuration policies as well as assigning licenses, but for our example, we'll assign a user license. I find the license or licenses I want to apply, in this case My Analytics, and click on the slider. Click Save, then save again, and your first configuration policy is now set up. And that's how you set up a configuration policy in Nova. Nova Service Monitoring provides Office 365 workload availability monitoring that helps an organization see Office 365 reliability. For example, Nova Service Monitoring can tell an organization if their users might be experiencing degraded performance of Office 365, if certain locations are experiencing an outage, as well as when service to the location is restored, if certain workloads are available or unavailable, and if the conditions of their service level agreement are being met. It gives you access to historical and real-time monitoring data, so you can see what's broken now, what was broken in the past, including when it broke and when it started working again, and a historical record of latency and uptime. Here's how it works. Beacons are deployed by us. They are used to monitor the status and health of workloads in certain geographies. These beacons are scanned every 60 seconds in Amazon Web Services. The scan results are then logged in Nova Service Monitoring. You can use this information to make data-driven decisions. For example, let's say several people contacted an organization's help desk yesterday, saying they were unable to send or receive email. The help desk could either spend a lot of time troubleshooting with the individual users, or they could dig into the network. Or the help desk could start by using Nova Service Monitoring to see if there was an Exchange Online outage yesterday. Let's see how they check this. Here's how Nova Service Monitoring looks. You can see the service availability globally, and you could drill into a certain location, like I'm doing here. Now I can see this workload might have been unavailable for a certain period of time, which could have resulted in the help desk tickets. I should also be able to see when the service availability is restored. Beacons are color-coded into 3 categories. Green, meaning that there are no issues with the workloads, amber, meaning degraded performance, and red, meaning there's a critical error. As you can see, having access to this type of information makes troubleshooting much faster and easier. This information is invaluable when troubleshooting Office 365 related problems. The service gives an organization quick answers to questions like, is the service available? Is it performing like it should? Can a certain person use the service? And are there any problems with the service that might affect my users? As you can see, Nova Service Monitoring can simplify troubleshooting and performance monitoring work. Stay tuned for more information about features you'll find in Nova.